I've always been a kind of woman who hides behind humor whenever things get uncomfortable. At gatherings, I'd throw out jokes to get attention, to mask the insecurities I didn't want anyone to notice, to appear confident. That night was no different. The living room glowed with soft, warm light. People were chatting, laughing, filling the space with noise and life. My husband, Adam, stood beside me with that gentle, steady smile of his, holding my drink so I wouldn't spill it. Someone casually asked how married life was treating us. And without thinking, without pausing long enough to honor the man who gave me the world, I smirked and replied, "Let's just say there are a few men here who could probably treat me better." Everyone burst into loud laughter. I laughed along with them. But when I turned toward Adam, expecting him to join in like always, what I saw knocked the air out of me. His smile didn't just fade, it crumbled, like something inside him folded in on itself. His gaze dropped, the color drained from his face, and a chilling quiet wrapped around him. It wasn't anger. Adam never raised his voice, never created scenes. But that silence, sharp, cold, and heavy, felt worse than any outburst. Slowly, the laughter around us dimmed as people noticed he wasn't reacting, wasn't even pretending to find it funny. For the first time, a small shiver of regret crawled up my spine. I reached out to touch his arm, to lighten the moment, maybe crack another joke, but he stepped back, subtly yet firmly, as though my touch stung. That tiny movement cut deeper than any argument could. He excused himself politely, walked out to the balcony, and closed the door behind him. I felt dozens of eyes drift toward me, some amused, some confused, some clearly judging. My sister leaned in and murmured, "You took it too far." I opened my mouth to defend myself, to say it was just harmless humor, but the words felt empty, because as I watched him through the glass, standing alone under the dim yellow light, I realized this wasn't funny to him at all. This was betrayal. This was me humiliating the man who had never once disrespected me, the man who protected my pride even when I didn't deserve it. I stepped outside cautiously. He didn't look at me. His hands were locked around the railing, knuckles white. "Adam!" "Hey, it was just a joke," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. He let out a slow breath. "A joke," he said quietly. "You told a room full of strangers that any man that could treat you better than your husband." There was no anger in his voice, just exhaustion, pain, like something inside him had cracked open. I reached for his hand, but he didn't move, didn't blink, didn't react at all. His silence hurt more than shouting ever could. It was the silence of man realizing his worth had been taken for granted. When he finally turned toward me, the look in his eyes made my chest tighten. It wasn't rage. It was heartbreak. "Do you really believe that?" he asked. That simple question tore through me. Because no, I didn't believe it. Adam was kind, loyal, endlessly patient. He worked long hours, came home drained but still smiling, still ready to listen, still ready to love me. But my stupid joke, my careless words, made him question all of that. "No," I whispered desperately. I didn't mean it. But the pain in his expression told me that meaning didn't matter anymore. The damage was already done. We stood there in the cool night air while the party murmured behind us. "Do you know why it hurts so much?" he asked quietly. I shook my head, tears burning my eyes. "Because you didn't stand up for us. You didn't stand up for our marriage. You didn't stand up for me." His voice wavered. "You laughed with them at me?" My throat tightened. I had never considered it that way. To me, it was a throwaway joke. To him, it was public humiliation, a slap to the dignity of a man who had loved me with nothing but honesty and devotion. I tried to explain, to apologize, to make him understand that I was thoughtless, not disloyal. But Adam said nothing more. He walked back inside, grabbed his coat, and told the host he wasn't feeling well. People noticed. Conversations paused. And as he stepped out the front door, a heavy silence followed him. I called out his name, but he didn't stop, didn't even turn around. All eyes were on me, pitying, judging, confused. And for the first time in my life, I understood what real shame felt like. The car ride home was the longest stretch of silence I had ever endured. He didn't look at me once. I whispered apology after apology, but he just stared out the window like I wasn't there. When we arrived, he set his keys on the table and said, "I need some space." No shouting, no bitterness, just a calm, aching finality that made my stomach drop. He went into the guest room and shut the door. I sat alone in the living room, crushed under the weight of my own words. That harmless joke had turned into a blade I'd unknowingly plunged straight into my own marriage. Days went by in an empty, painful quiet. He still completed his routines, went to work, handled chores, but emotionally, he was gone. He avoided my eyes, avoided conversation, avoided anything that made us feel like a couple. And every day, I replayed that moment at the party, hating myself a little more. I cooked his favorite meals, wrote long messages, tried every small gesture I could think of to show him I cared. But his heart had retreated behind a wall I couldn't reach. And the worst part was knowing I'd been the one to build that wall. Then one night, he sat across from me at the dining table, looking utterly drained. "I loved you so much," he said softly, "and you made me feel like I could be replaced." My tears fell instantly. He wasn't accusing me. He was telling me the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts deeper than anger ever could. "I don't know if I can forget that moment," he whispered. And that was when the full weight of what I'd done finally sank in. One careless, thoughtless joke had shattered years of trust. I had broken something delicate, something priceless. And whether it could ever be repaired, I honestly didn't know.